Hi, my name is Hannah Gray, and this is my project explaining motivation and expectancy theory for psychological foundations. So the explanation of this theory, expectancy theory is a theory of motivation based on the belief that people's efforts to achieve depend on their expectations of reward. So when a student is in class and they know that what they're going to get as a reward, the greater that reward is, the more motivated they're going to be to do their work and to complete it correctly. The book that we are using gives us a formula. Motivation equals perceived probability of success times the incentive value of success. And so what that means is people's motivation to achieve something depends on the product of their estimation of the chance of success and the value that they place on success. And I have some examples of this. I think I can make the honor roll if I try, and it's very important to me to make the honor roll. So if it's something that's important to the student, then they're going to try harder. My success is 0, so my motivation is 0. A lot of students think that right off the bat, I don't understand it. I know I'm not going to do well. I'm just not going to try anymore. There are a lot of motivation factors when it comes into this theory. First, you have achievement motivation, which is the desire to experience success and to participate in activities in which success depends on personal effort and abilities. So the more the student believes that they'll do well, the more they're going to try and the more successful that they're going to be. Then you have different goals. You have learning goals and performance goals, and I've kind of broken both of these down. First, we have our learning goals. If a student has good learning goals, they value the learning for the sake of learning. They like to learn new things. They are motivated by challenge and things that interest them. They believe that errors are part of the learning process. Evaluation against their own standards and value of new knowledge and skills. So they know what they know, and they try to learn new things. The value process of getting new knowledge and skills, not just the right answer. So they do want to try their best, but they're not necessarily looking just for the outcome of the right answer. They're also in it to learn new things. They value creativity and multiple solutions. They want to be creative, and they want to try to find new ways to come at a solution, and they value working with others and exchanging ideas, so they're very into cooperative learning. Then we have performance goals. When you have students with performance goals, they value grades and praise. They are motivated by doing better than others, so games, competition, that's what kind of motivates them to do well. They know that they feel like errors lead to anxiety and loss of self-worth, so if they do something as an error to come up to the solution, that's going to bring their self-esteem way down. Evaluation against performance levels of other students, that's kind of where the competition kind of comes in again. They sit next to a kid, and that kid has an A in class, and they have an F. Well, they are like, well, according to them, I suck, so why should I keep trying? They value the clear path to a single right answer. They know that there's only one right answer. They think there's only one way to get to it, and when they don't understand that way, they're going to stop trying. And they value doing better than others. So again, that's where that competition kind of comes in. To use these as an application to the real-world classroom for these different goals for motivation, you should put value on the ability to do new things and knowledge instead of grades. So let them know that even if they're not doing as well as they would like to do, they're still learning new things, and they're eventually going to get there. Give new, exciting challenges. So make a competition. Have fun with it. Make it to where they're going to want to learn new stuff. Refer to errors and contribution to learning instead of as mistakes. So we'll say, okay, you didn't do it exactly correct, but you're learning now. So instead of saying, oh, you did it wrong, say, oh, well, you did this part right. And say, you may not have gotten exactly where you needed to be, but you're learning something. Put emphasis on new knowledge and skills. When a student says, oh, hey, I learned this, put your emphasis on that. Say, good, you learned something. That's great. Encourage students to set their own high-staked standards. If a student says, I don't get this, just go step by step at a time. Okay, what's your next goal? What do you need to do to figure this out? Have them set their own standards. Have them think of it. Give multiple ways of arriving at correct answers. I see this mostly in math. There's not just one way to come about a correct answer. Usually when you're doing like a mathematical equation or you're trying to solve a problem, give them multiple ways because they might not understand exactly how to do it one way that you've given them, but maybe another way would be better. And my favorite is to encourage creativity and playfulness. When I'm in the classroom, I like to play a lot of games. I teach 9th grade, so they're at that age where they like competition. If we're having a discussion and they give me a good answer, I'll give them candy or something, so that usually helps. And I try to get them to get creative. I give them extra points if they write a story, they can draw a picture of that story too. So that's one way I like to use that. Another motivation factor is called learned helplessness. The expectation and one's actions will ultimately lead to failure. Most of the time students say, I'll fail because I'm stupid. They think they're stupid either because someone's told them that they're stupid or they've always failed at something, and that ultimately makes them feel like they're not going to be successful. And to kind of go against this with the application to the real world classroom, accentuate the positive. Get to know their strengths and use them as building blocks. Eliminate the negative. Deal with the students' weaknesses directly. Talk them through their problems. Let them know that you do care and that you're going to want to try to get through to them. Go from familiar to new. Use their experiences and hobbies to help them. One example that our book used was there's a math problem and they don't quite get it. Use their hobbies. Use something that they like to kind of recreate the problem. Create challenges where the student will create problems and solve them using their knowledge and skills. So maybe they can create their own problem. That kind of goes with the familiar to new thing with me. They create their own problems and they try to figure it out. Another motivation factor is teacher expectations. A lot of students feel that, if you spend less time talking to them, and teachers don't do it on purpose, I don't think, but if I know a student is going to have the correct answer every time, I might call on them most of the time. Application to the real world classroom. Wait for students to respond. Teachers tend to wait longer for answers from students with whom they have high expectations. One thing I try to always do is I call on someone, and even if they say I don't know, I wait for them to come up with an answer before I continue to move on. We'll sit there for a couple minutes until they come up with something. Avoid unnecessary achievement distinctions among students. Grades should always be private. Treat all students equally. Call on students at all levels equally. I bring out my phone and I have a student randomizer, and I'll click go and a random student's name will pop up, and they're the ones that have to answer that question. And in conclusion, for this theory, excite students. Motivate them by enticing their interests and being curious. Let your students set their own higher learning goals. Set expectations for your students and give all of the equal chances to show you what their abilities are. Praise your students when they get something right and let them know that it's okay if they don't, because it's all part of the learning experience and they will get there. Doing these things should get your students motivated to learn, and it'll motivate them to try to be successful.